Alright, so in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how I built this function that allowed me to copy these workouts from this Google Sheets and put it into this Google Sheets. And as you can see how they're all formatted here with the background of the dates being red, the text is wrapping around, there's spaces in between the given workouts, right? Spaces here. They're all centered. And you can keep on adding to this quote-unquote database. So I'm just going to delete this right here. Get rid of that. So now it's completely empty. And so what I use Google Scripts. And what Google Scripts is it allows you to essentially link together different Google apps, like Google Docs, Google Sheets, and so on, and do cool different things with them, right? And you use JavaScript inside of their IID, and they have different built-in methods or functions, whatever, that allows you to that are specific to the IID within Google Scripts. So there's 3 different sections to this function that I built. Section number 1 is me setting it up. Section number 2 is me getting the data from the workouts from one and then putting it together. And section number 3 is me reformatting it once it gets inside this database. Reformatting not the color, but reformatting the wrapping and the centering of it. It was kind of bad how I did that, but it was me just learning how it worked and how to make it work for me. And so it probably was the most efficient way of doing it. So right here, this is me getting the workouts, and I get that by the active sheet. And what is active is that means that essentially I went into here and I said script editor. So if I go to script editor, I started coding directly into it. So that is why it's called active sheet. So I linked this directly with this by going here and clicking script editor. So that means output sheet. I open that up by ID, as you can notice, and the ID is this right here, right? And if you notice, this ID right here is the same. So that's what I did there. And then the selected content, I got the range, and I got the values within that range with this get the values method, right? And so 3, 2, 5, 7, essentially what that means is I just selected all of this right here that's highlighted. And then after that, what I did is I made sure that the red, that the date was red, right? So if you notice, if I click this button, boom, 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 that turns red. And so I start this for loop on 0. Okay, now if x equals 1, so if it's already looped one time, I'm going to get the last row, which is 0, right here. Right? I get the last row before 1. And then I'm going to get that last row. I'm going to get that range, okay? And I'm going to set, so I get the whole range, so the row and all of that. So essentially all of this right here, boom, 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 boom. If you notice, so this is right here, 1 to 7, okay? And I set that to red, so that's how I made this red. Pretty janky. And after that, I broke out of that if statement. So if is equal to 1, I broke it out, and then the rest I appended to the output sheet, that new row, the selected content to boom, 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 here. So I appended it. So it was row by row by row. I think last video that I did the Google Sheets, if you listen to that, I think I called these columns, I think called these rows. I misspoke. It doesn't really matter, but these are rows, and then these are columns. It doesn't really matter, like, conceptually speaking. You have some stuff going this way, some stuff going that way. Anyways, so then what I did is at the end, like I said here, essentially what I did with this is I went back and I reformatted the whole thing. And as you can notice, here says cell horizontal alignment center, and then set wrap center. You can kind of see how that happens, because first it kind of comes in slightly unformatted, right? Boop, boop. So let me see, you can do this. Right, click this button, go back over. So you come to unformat it, and it's kind of like formatting itself kind of quickly. It might have happened way too fast. When it first work starts, you can kind of see it a little better. Looks like it's pretty smooth. But essentially that's what I did. So yeah, that's my workout upload to database, Google Scripts.